Okay, welcome to this new section. And in this new section, what we're going to do is we are going to build up the profile section, right? The profile section of the tab. So what that is going to look like, let's just have a look at an image. This is what the profile section is going to look like. We're going to have the 4 buttons, and if I can quickly explain the 4 buttons, this button is going to be available, the main button, the header button for the particular image, the avatar image, I call this for the avatar image. It's going to be available for all users, right? So every single user is going to have access to this button, and they can put their image on it. And then these other buttons are going to be available for VIP users, right? So if you're a VIP user, so as a sort of incentive to get users to pony up for the premium features, they're going to get access to the other image buttons to select, right? So this is what the profile section is going to look like. And for now, we're just going to be concentrating on in the next couple of minutes, we're going to be concentrated on the top here, right? The profile. So we'll look at what is at the bottom, the other things that are at the bottom, the various sliders and whatnot. But we'll look at that when we get there, right, in a bit. So for now, this is what we're going to be working on. We're going to be working on the buttons first. And before we even get to the button, let's start at the very top, right? So if you look to the navigation bar, to the left, we have this button, which is going to be used to edit the content, right? So we need to tap this button so that you can edit maybe the name and whatnot. And then you also need to press this, and this is going to be used to log out, right? So this is going to be our logout. And because we're going to be using this all over the app, you know what that means, right? We need to create the function and extension for the navigation buttons, right? So that it can return a UI bar button item and basically just call it anywhere, because we might need to do, like in the match screen, I believe we need to, there should be a crown. If you're not a VIP user, there should be a crown there that allows you to press it, and then you get the pop-up, the alert that asks you to be a VIP user, and then when you press it, eventually you will get a sort of module, I believe, a module that will allow you to become a VIP user, right? But that's a couple of videos away. That's several videos away. So yeah, so that's what we want to do. We want to create the reusable function that can essentially spit out a nav button. So let's get to it. This is where we are. So let's just run things so that you can see what we left off things as. This is where we left off things as. Give it a second. Okay. It's taking a bit of time. It's starting from a cold start, so it always takes a few seconds. Okay, so this is what we are going to be working on, right? And because every time we make a change, we're going to have to cycle to the end. One important thing we could do that is going to save us time is, for now, this is the order that they're going to be in at the very end, right? This is the order they're going to be in. But right now it doesn't make sense that we leave it like this, because every time we'll have to come in and we are going to be working on the profile. We're going to have to change into the profile, right? So what we could do is we could come to the main tab, and remember the order here is the order that they're shown. So what we could do is we could cut the create this function here in our view controllers, put it at the top and then put a comma in it, right? Because remember, this is an array. So if we do that, we reload, we should get the profile screen at the top, right? So we're now working on the profile screen. Every time we make changes to it, we are going to be seeing them on the profile screen. So it's going to save us a click or two. Okay, so what do? We need to go to our extensions, get our UI view controller. Okay, let's just get this, right? Come here, and after configuring our navigation bar, we need to create a function, and it's going to be called set up nav button, right? And this is going to take a bunch of things. It's going to take system name. System name is just going to be essentially our image, right? So that's going to be that. This is going to be of type string, like so. Then the selector is going to be the selector. Like in the case that we just showed you, that one is going to call the functionality for logging a user out, which we are going to implement at some point, right? Not now. Give it a bit. We're going to do it, right? So we get the image, and the image here is just going to be, what's the image? The image is going to be UI image, like so, and this is going to be system name. The system name is going to be the one that is passed in. With configuration is going to be K configuration, right? Then we come here and we say let button, and what's the button? The button is going to be UI bar button item, like so, image style target action, right? The image is going to be the image that we just created up here. The style, we want the style to be plain, so we say dot plain, like so. The target is going to be the self, like so. The action is going to be the selector. So we do that, and then we come here and we say button dot tint color. What's the tint color? It's going to be dot system purple. That's going to be what we're going to use. And then we just need to return it, so we say return button, right? So that's the button returned. That's the button that we're going to use. And now let's put it to action, right? So how would we put it to action? We'd call it in a function, or we'd call it in the place where we actually want to see it, right? So in this case, we want to see it in the profile controller. That's where we're going to call it. So let's come here, go to the profile controller. It's currently looking bare. And there are two ways you could do it. You could put it in a function that you call it, but then we're not going to use that anywhere else. So you could either put it here. You could also put it in the view did load, right? I'm going to put it in a function. So we come in and we say func. It's going to be called configure right nav button item, which is a very long name. You could shorten it, right? And this is going to be let right button. We're going to assign it to a variable, and this is going to be setup nav button, the system name. Let's get our SF symbols. Okay, where's our SF symbol? Let's just get our SF symbol and see. SF symbol. So what I was trying to do here, I was trying to communicate, get a sort of SF symbol that communicates exiting, like logging out, right? So I tried something like log out. Okay, you'd get logos, right, when you do that. Sign out, sign out, you don't get anything. Sign out. I don't know if there's a universal sort of symbol that communicates logging out, right? But so eventually I just landed on the rectangle. This one, right? Rectangle dot portrait. Yes, portrait and arrow right? This one here, right? You could get the filled one, but the filled one doesn't look as good. Arrow forward, but this one, look, this one, arrow right and arrow forward look exactly the same to me. I can't tell the difference, right? Maybe a design, somebody who is more in touch with design could see the difference. I sure as hell can't. Okay, so we come here, do that, paste that. The selector in question, it needs a selector. So what we need to do is say hashtag selector. It doesn't exist yet, and this one is going to be called handle logout, right? That's going to be that. We probably need to create it, right? And this is going to be at Objective C func, and the func is going to be called whatever we called it here, handle log out, like so. So we do that, we come here, and for now we're just going to print ABC. We're going to hook up the functionality a bit later. So let's print up ABC, like so. It's going to stop complaining. If we run this, let's call this here, and this is going to be configure right navigation bar button item, whatever we called it, the really long name. And to our surprise, it doesn't appear on the app, and we probably forgot to tell it to run. Yeah, that's what we did. We came here and we say navigation item dot right bar button item, and this is going to be the right button, right? So you put it there, and now after you create it, we put it in the navigation item. We run this, and this should give us a response, better response. Okay, a bit too thick for me, right? A bit too thick. Okay, so that's working. Let's come to extensions, make a few changes, right? Let's come to extensions and or constants, right? Let's come to constants and hit this, say command D, and here it's going to be K configuration navigation, like so. And this is going to be the same. The point size is maybe going to be a bit more modest, say 14. And the weight is not going to be black, it's going to be, let's say, bold, right? And we need to come back to, where do we call it? We call it in our extensions, right? And here it's going to be query configuration navigation, right? And we stop this, run this. It's going to be a bit lighter, a bit smaller, and less bolder, right? Okay, so that's it, right? So that's the first part done, and we can proceed from there. Let's continue. Now, what we want to do is we want to concentrate on our header now, right? So this is what our header will look like, right? We have this and this, right? This is going to be our profile screen. So our header is going to be this particular section, right? Let me just select it. this is going to be our header, right? Where we have 4 buttons, the main avatar button and the pro buttons. If I use it as a pro, that is what we're going to show here, right? So what we'd like to do is we would like to set that up. And if you notice, this just looks, if you look at this entire particular page, this is going to be this could be a table view, right? This is a table view and these are table cells, and the first cell is a bit different from the others, right? So that's exactly what we're going to use. And we're going to use sliders here. We're going to use a segmented picker, and we're going to use a button to delete an account if the user wants to delete an account. So let us actually do that. Okay, so the very first thing we want to do is, because that's a table view, right? We could just come in and we say UI table view controller, like so. That's going to be the controller. Now that's going to be the table view controller. And now that we have a table view controller, the next thing we want to do is table views require a bunch of things, right? Let's start by giving it a background. So we could come here and we say table view, the background color, and the background color is going to be UI color, like so. And here we're just going to say white 0.9, and the alpha is going to be why does it have 2 alphas? Okay, alpha is going to be 1, and we can get rid of the other alpha, right? Okay, so we have a table view like so. Run this and you're going to get this particular off-white color, which is a bit nice, right? So we get that table view like so. The next thing we need to do is we need to give it height, right? We need the table view to have height. And you will notice, compared to the other sections, that the table view is going to have a bit more height to it, right? These ones have less height. These table cells have less height among them, and they're actually different heights, right? Depending on which, like I believe this preference will take more height, this delete button will take more height. So it depends on the cell. So some cells are going to be bigger than the others, but the name, the about, the profession are going to be more or less the same, right? So they're basically, we're just going to have text fields or something here, right? So that's going to be that. So what we want to do is we would like to put the number of sections. So come here, and what we want to do here is just say number of sections in, like so. And the number of sections for now is going to be 1, right? So you're going to have 1, build them out slowly. And then we're going to have the height for header in section, like I've just explained. Height for header in section, height, okay. Height for header in section. And the first one is going to be a lot bigger than the other one, right? So for now, what we're going to do is just return, for now, return, let's say 600, right? 600. So now the header is going to have, the first section is going to have 600, right? And then what we'd like to do next is going to be the view for header in section, right? So the view, it's going to depend. If it's either going to be a label, for all the other sections it's going to be the label except the first one, right? Because as you can see here, we have the image, the buttons, and here we have the label, right? So we have this label. We're going to create a custom label for that, right, in a bit. So just have that at the back of your head, right? So the next thing we want to do after that is the view for header in section, right? So we come here and say view for header in section, right? View for header in section. So we come here, that's going to be the view for header in section, and we would like to come here and say for now we're going to change this code, return header, right? So what you're going to do is we're going to return header. And for now, the header is something we haven't created. And we would actually need to create that. So let's do that. Let's continue. Now, what we want to do is we would like to create a function that is the header, right? So let's create that function. Let's come here and say this is going to be func, like so. Func, and this one is going to be called header, like so. And what we would like is going to be the UI view. And the header is just going to spit out a UI view. For now, it's going to do nothing. And but we could see it. Let's see it, right? So we say let HD is just going to be a UI view, like so. And we could come in and we say HD dot background color is going to be dot system cyan, right? So of course we need to return something, so probably return HD, right? So come here and we say So we have HD like so. If we run this, we should see our header and the space it occupies. Okay, this is going to be our header, right? This is going to be our header, and that's the cyan color, which looks a bit okay. It's okay. It's okay. For now, the next thing we want to do is what do we want to do? We would like to create the various buttons, right? Now, one thing you will notice if you look at our application here is that these buttons are all do the same thing. Basically, you press them and then you can put your image there, and then the image is of course sent to the backend, right? But the difference is that they're different sizes, right? So instead of creating one like them differently, we could create a function that could create the various buttons, right? And we're going to use buttons rather than image tapping because it's a bit efficient, right? So what we would do is we would just create a function that creates these buttons, and then each one is we're going to put a tag on the button so that we can pick up which button is pressing so that we can know where to send the image from, right? So for example, if we click on this button, we want the picker to be presented and then the button afterwards to be sent to be put in the avatar, because the avatar is separate from the others because the avatar is always going to be visible, right? For these ones, we would like to put them in the pro section. That's why we're putting the tag on every button, right? So you're going to see what that means in a couple. So let's get to work. So let's come here and create that function. And this function is going to be called, create image button. And it's going to do exactly what you think it's going to do. It's going to return, what's it going to return? It's going to return UI button like so. And what it's going to return with the UI button is going to be let BT, and BT is just going to be UI button like so. And this is going to be type is going to be .system like so. So we have the button, then we come here and we say bt.background color, and the background color here is going to be .white like so. Then we're going to come here and we say bt.layer.corner radius, and the corner radius is going to be 8. Then we say bt.add target. We've done this a bunch of times. Self hashtag selector. This one is going to be called launch. It doesn't exist yet. Launch. Okay, let's create it first, and then actually it would be easier, right? So we come here and we say at Objective-C func, and this one is going to be called show image picker. Okay, image. Okay, the typing there was a bit off. Show image picker, and what this is going to be is we're going to use the PH picker var configuration, which is I think how Apple recommends we do it nowadays, right? PH picker configuration, and here we're just going to have the photo library. Okay, not this configuration, but PH picker configuration. This is going to be photo. Okay, PH picker photo library, like so. Okay, I think I need to. The problem is I'm not importing this, right? That, right? So now it's going to stop complaining because I was wondering whether I'm typing the right thing, right? Let's come in to say photo library. You see now it's a bit more cooperative, right? So this is going to be shared, right? Then we come here and we say configuration. We want to only select one. Well, you could select multiple for the second section, but I want you to select each one individually, right? You could, if you want to do multiple, right, you can do it, but I'm just going to selection limit it to one, right? So we're going to limit it to one, and because this function is going to be used with the avatar, with all the buttons, that's why we're limiting it to one. You could maybe create a function, a different function for all of them, for multiple and one, right? So those two, right? Whichever you prefer. That's how I'm going to do it. And then we're going to come and say let picker. Picker is just going to be PH picker view controller, and the configuration in question is going to be the configuration that you just put up right here. And we're going to say picker dot delegate is going to be the self, and then we need to present it. So we come and we say present. What do we want to present? We want to present the picker in question, and after that we want to say animated, and animation is very good, so we say animated true, right? That is more or less sorted. It's going to complain because we need to come down here, say extension. This is going to be profile controller like so. This is going to be PH picker view controller like so. Controller delegate, right? Make sure it's correct. And then what we want to do is just say did select, did finish. It's did finish, right? Did finish picking, this one, right? And what we want to do is just say dismiss animated. Animation is always good, say true, right? that is done, right? So that is done. And now we would like to, before we actually get here, we need to create another function. Now the whole point of this function is to pick out which button has been pressed, right? So because we are going to call the same function, we created one function, the show image picker. So we need to find out which button and whether a user can actually call that particular button, right? So let's do that, right? So let's come here and create a new Objective-C function, right? Let's come here and say at Objective-C func. And what this is going to be launch picker. And launch picker is going to do a couple of things. It's going to have this sender. And the sender is just going to be a UI button like so. And what this is going to do is we're just going to say guard let button. And the button tag is going to be okay, spell it correctly, sender dot tag, else we're just going to come here and we return, right? Get that? So we come here and we say return like so, and then come here and we say else return like so, and the next thing we need to do is we say switch and we say button tag like so, and we're going to come here and we have a case. We say case 1, we're just going to call show image picker, right? So that's going to be that. Then we say case 2, 3, 4, we are going to say if flag, then we're saying show image picker. The flag is just going to basically check whether or not the user is a VIP, right? So for now, we're going to say var flag equals true, right? So basically that, right? So if flag show image picker, else print not allowed, right? So basically that, right? Okay, and switch is not switch is not complete. So let's just say, what do we do? Default just break, right? So we hit the break. And that we can proceed from there. Now the next thing we need to do is let's create the variable for the tag, right? Let's come here and we say var tag is just going to be an integer, so we come here and say int, this is going to be 0, right? So we create that, and we next have the selector here. And one thing we could do is, when we're calling the image picker here, we don't need an Objective-C function. So we could get rid of that, right? We could ditch that. And the next thing to do here is just call the, I believe we need to call this launch picker, right? And we need to pass in the particular button that pressed it, right? So we need to come here and we say hashtag, and this is going to be selector. Come here, say launch picker. And this is going to be, we need the actual button, so we do that, right? And this is going to be for dot touch up inside, right? So that's going to be that. And the next thing we would need to do is we would need to get all the buttons. We would need to create all the buttons, right? We would need to create all the buttons, so let's do that. Let's come here and we say lazy var, and what we're going to do is we're going to create the 4 buttons. Lazy var, the first one is going to be called avatar button, and the avatar button is going to be create image button, and we could call this a bunch of times. So we hit Command D, Command D, Command D, and the next one is going to be called VIP. Okay, let's actually get rid of this too. This is going to be VIP button 1, VIP button 1, like so, and then we call it down down, like so. This is going to be VIP button 2. Okay, wait, sorry. This should be VIP button 2, and this should be VIP button 3, right? So that is going to be that, and of course we have set up the tag as being 0, and now we can actually proceed. Let's try and put them on the screen. What we want to do now is we want to make sure that we get the button tag. And now what do we do with the button tag? We would let's just fix this first, right? So we say we want it cast as, we say as int, right? And that's going to be that. The next thing is wait, we're not returning anything here, right? When we're creating our image button, and we need to come here and say button dot image view dot content mode, and this one is going to be called dot scale to fill, like so. Then we come here and we say bt dot clips to bounds, and this one is going to be set to true, and then we say return it, right? Return bt. So that's going to be that. And probably now what we would like to do is we would like to put everything nicely on the screen, right? So what that looks like is, let's go back to the header. What do we want to do with the header, right? We would like to come here and we say let button stack is going to be UI. It's going to be that, it's going to be this. Then we say we want VIP, comma, then we want command D, like so. We want this, we want this, we want this, right? So we do that, and then we come here and we say button stack dot axis is going to be dot horizontal. Then we come here and we say button stack dot distribution is going to be dot fill equally, right? Fill equally. Button stack, oh god, button stack dot spacing, okay, not safe area, but button stack dot spacing, what's that going to be? It's going to be 8.0, and then we say hd dot add subviews, plural, right? Now these three are going to be at the bottom here, if you can see, right? These three are going to be the ones at the bottom here, and this one is going to be the avatar view, right? So here we want to add a couple of that, so we say avatar button, and we would like to put the button stack, right? Then we come here and we say avatar button dot set height it's going to be 400. Then we come here and we say avatar button dot anchor, and here we come and say the top is going to be the hd dot top anchor, like so. Leading is going to be hd dot leading anchor, like so. Trailing is going to be the hd dot trailing anchor, like so. And you should know why we're putting all those. We need to put the padding, right? Padding, this is going to be 8. Padding leading, padding top, and then it's top, and then leading is going to be 8. Then we say padding trailing is going to be 8. Padding what? We say padding top, padding, yeah, okay, fine, that's okay. And then we need our button stack view, right? Button stack, and our button stack view, or we call it button stack, and we want to anchor it. So the anchor is going to be, the top is of course going to be the avatar button dot bottom anchor. The leading is going to be the hd dot leading. The bottom is going to be hd bottom. The trailing is going to be HD dot trailing. Padding top is going to be 8. Padding leading is going to be 8. Padding bottom is going to be 8. And padding trailing is also going to be 8, right? So let's have a look at this. Let's run this. See, now we have our buttons, right? We have this, and okay, we have our various buttons, right? They're there, and you can see the background, which is going to be that particular color, and the background a bit sticks out a bit. So let's just come here and do this, right? Instead of system cyan, let's just say HD dot background color, and this is going to be UI color like so. And this is going to be white, is going to be, let's say, 0.8, and alpha is going to be 1, right? So that's going to be that. Okay, we now have our buttons on the screen, right? So let us proceed from there. Let's continue. Now, one thing I noticed is that since we're getting the tag from the button, this tag here doesn't make a lot of sense currently, right? So we could get rid of it. And the next thing is we probably we next need to put tags on our buttons so that we can see, we can know which button is pressed so that we can call a different function, right? So let's see that in action. What that would look like is pretty straightforward. We just come here and say avatar button dot tag. It's going to be something like, let's say 1. Then we say VIP button 1 dot tag. It's going to be 2. Then we call it like so. Then we change it to 2 and 3 and 3 and 4, right? No, 3 and 4, right? So now when we call it, the button is going to communicate the tag, right? So we hit this and we should get our avatar button, right? And we get our avatar, and we get our avatar, and we get our avatar. But we don't know which button is, we are not sure which one is being called. So we could just come in and we say print. What do we want to print? We want to print the sender, which is going to be the button dot tag, right? So if we print sender dot tag, and this should be print, not print, but print, save and reload, we should get the button tag that is being pressed, right? This is 1 when we press the avatar button, 2 when we press the VIP button, 3 when we press that button, 4 when we press that one. So now we actually know which button is being pressed, right? So for example, if we come here and change the flag, if the user is not a VIP, we come here and say false, right? You should only be able to get the avatar button as calling our image picker. So we call that, we get our image picker. We come here and we hit this, we say not allowed, right? And we also get the tag, right? 3 is not allowed, 4 is not allowed, right? So if you try to do this, if you're not a VIP picker, a VIP user, we should get like a sort of pop-up, or we are going to design the pop-up. It's going to be its own section, which is going to be a bit further out. So that is going to take a bit of time, and basically that, right? So that is sorted, and now the next thing we need to do is we need to worry about the header label, right? So we need to come here, and you notice that every header has this particular label, and this label is a bit inset, right? So we need to create a custom label that we're going to use for all these headers, right? And let's do that. So that's going to be a view on its own. So we could come here to views and hit Command N, and we're going to create a new view, and this view is going to be called it's going to be called header label. And then we're going to come here, and what we want to do is just import UIKIT. Import UIKIT. Come here, say class. This is going to be that's going to be UI label, right? So now we're going to have the UI label, and then we're going to get the draw text function, draw text in, and this is going to be that. And we could say let's inset, not insect, but inset rect, right? Which is going to be rect dot inset by, And you could do this by the dx. There's this function, right? Rect.inset. You could either do this, right? Returns a rectangle that are smaller or larger than the source rectangle by defining the same center point, right? But UI edge insets, right? But this is advantage is that the advantage of this is that here you're doing the dx and dy, right? You could do it with dx and dy, which is fine. But this is a bit new because you can define each inset independently. Here you would have to define two in a go, right? So that's one way you could do it, right? You could do it either way, but I'm going to use this one, right? So this is going to be expect UI edge insets, and you would say UI edge insets, and we have top left, bottom right, and you notice that the space that we want is to the left. So let's do that. So the top is going to be 0, the left is going to be, let's say 18, oh, not 17, but 18. The bottom is going to be 0 and the right is going to be 0, right? So this is going to be the, we need to call the super afterwards, right? This is what we're going to use, right? So we say super dot draw text in, and we want it in the inset, not insect, but inset rect. Or if you call it insect rect, make sure that you actually also call it insect rect here, right? So call it insect rect all over. The next thing we need to do is we need to, if we look at our image, let's also work on this, right? Show this icon, right? And then we can do the header label. So let's come to profile controller, and what we want to do is create a function, and that's going to handle the here, right? The function is going to be called show save icon. It's going to do exactly what you think it's going to do. And we're going to say let save button, and save button is going to be set up nav button system, and this is going to be square dot and dot arrow dot down dot on dot square, right? Let's just make sure that's correct by coming to our SF symbols. Come to our SF symbols, say we want the square. Come here, say square like so, dot and dot arrow dot down dot on. Let's see, which one is it? Dot square and arrow dot down, right? Okay, this is it, right? This is what we were actually going to do. So what the save bar button is going to do is if you hit the button, it's going to change, right? This is going to tell you, this button is going to tell you that this can be edited, right? So when you press it and you enter edit mode, it's going to change. It's going to flip and show you another image. That's what we're trying to figure out what that image should be, right? So for now, let's just copy this name to make sure it's correct, and come here and paste that, right? That, and for the selector, we're just going to say shift selector, and this is going to be called handle update, right? That is going to be that, and doesn't exist. We need to come here and maybe let's move this function above that, put it above the show save icon like so. Then we come here and the next one is going to be at Objective-C func, and what's this going to be called? It's going to be called handle update, right? Handle update like so. And what it's going to do is it's going to print, and this is going to print 1, 2, 3, right? And we need another one. Let's come in and say at Objective-C func, and this one is going to be called handle edit. It's going to be print 4, 5, 6, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And let's go back to where this is, right? Show save icon. Okay, that's that. Then the next thing would be to come here and say let edit bar button, edit button. Let's just call it edit button. I don't know, I want to add an extra word. This is going to be set up nav button. The system name, what's the system name going to be? It's going to be called highlighter like so. come here, let's sort it out, let's check it out. This is going to be okay. Let's say this is going to be okay. Come here. So this is going to be highlighter. This one, right? That's what it's actually going to be. And the selector is going to be hashtag selector. We just created it. It's going to be called handle edit, right? So you have handle edit there. It's going to stop complaining, and then you're going to put it to the navigation item. So you come here and say navigation item dot left bar button item is going to be equal to edit mode. Edit doesn't exist yet, right? So we come here and we say var edit mode, and edit mode is going to be set to false, right? Let's start with edit mode being false. So we're going to check the edit mode essentially. Let's come, where is it? Okay, left bar button item. This is going to be dependent on the edit mode. And edit mode, we're going to use a ternary, and for that we're just going to say save button rather, and then edit button, right? So let's run this and see it. Oh, it's not called, right? Show save icon. Let's go to the view did load. Come here and say show save icon. Let's do this and see it in action. Okay, come here. Let's see. This is going to be that. So we see it, yeah. And if we flip this to edit mode, is going to be true. Let's just come here and set edit mode to true, like so. Do it over, and this is going to be that, right? So it's going to be flipping depending on what you've pressed, right? So that's basically it. Pretty straightforward, nothing to worry about, right? Now the next thing we need to do is we need to change the type of table we have, right? So instead of this table, we want the grouped inset, right? So let's just come here and say we want style, right? I'm looking for this one, right? Yes, this one. So the style here, we're going to call the super dot init style, and this one is going to be the type we want is going to be grouped, right? So we say grouped here, it's going to complain, right? It's going to complain. Okay, more than this, right? So let's hit this, fix that. Okay, that is just required because you're not using a nib. Command B and build failed. And the reason it's going to fail is because when we were creating the tabs, the various tabs, we didn't tell it that this is supposed to be, it requires a style, right? So come here, hit fix and say dot grouped, right? Grouped like so. Wait, is it grouped or insert grouped? Let's just run it. Make sure everything is as it should be, right? So there it is, there is our table. A bit less space, right? Let's say insert grouped, come here and say and come back here and say, let's see, think around, right? Insert grouped, right? Okay, looks remarkably worse, right? Just put it back to grouped. I was playing around with the various okay, wait, where is it? Yeah, right, grouped, right? So that's what we want. A bit of less, yeah, this is it. This is what we want. This is actually our app as it should be, right? Now we need header labels, right? And we have been playing around with them but not really using them. We have made it but we have not really used it, right? So the first thing we need to do is we need to put the number of sections, right? So let's put the number of sections as 2 for starters, right? Then we come here and we say the table view. For all the rest, it's going to be more or less the same for the height for the header, right? Height for header in section, right? So what you're going to do is just say here, if the section is the very first one, and remember this is computing, so we should check it's 0. So if it's 0, you're going to put 600. Give it equal space. Swift is finicky about that. Else, we're going to put 20. Do that, reload. Presumably this is going to work. Okay, presumably it's going to work, and that's not the case, right? So here section is this is supposed to be height for header in section, and here we just check whether it's section 0. This is going to be 600 or 20, right? And here we also need to check for the header, right? So we come here and we say, instead of returning the header before we check, right, we say if section is going to be 0, return header, right? So that is going to be that, and else let header label, and this is just going to be header label like so. And what we want to do is say header label dot font is going to be dot bold, system of font size is going to be, let's say 16, right? Let's put 16, and we say header label dot text is going to be, the first one is going to be the name, right? So here we're just going to say name, and then we just say return. What do we want to return? It expects us to return something, so we just say return header label, right? So we do that, and that should stop complaining. And if we run this, presumably we should get the name, right? So we get the name here. You see the spacing in our header label that we created. Okay, things are looking a bit better. They're improving. We're going in the right direction, that is, right? And the next thing we want to do is we want to give, in each section, we'd like to put a row in the section, right? So how do we do that? We're not putting any rows, if you notice. So we could come here and we say something like number of rows in section, right? So the first section, we just want the header, which is going to be various buttons. But what we want to do here is just return, and we just want to return the section. And the section, if it's 0, that is the first one, return 0, else return 1. Everyone else is going to get 1, right? So if we do this and we return, we are going to, okay, number, oh, we are not telling it, yes. We're not telling it what the cell is supposed to be at that row. So that's why it's complaining, right? So let's just go back there, and we can comment this out. And then the next thing to do would be to create that particular cell so that you can show it. Let's continue. Now, the next thing we need to do, we need to ensure that aside from the name, there are text fields, right? So we're going to use a text field, and the text field is going to be in the name, in the about, in the profession. Yeah, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, right? So because it's going to be more common than the others, okay, that's not really true if you think about it, because the sliders are going to be the same. But this slider, this global slider, is different from this slider. So the text field is going to be the default, right? So let's create that text field. We are going to create it as a custom view. So we're going to come here, hit Command N. This one is going to be a Swift file. We hit next. It's going to be called settings text field, like so. We're going to hit create. We are going to import UIKIT, like so. Then we're going to come here and we say class. This is going to be settings. This is going to be UI text field, right? So here we want a bunch of things that are going to be there. Right now, the thing you're going to notice with our text fields is that they are a bit, we move them in a bit, right? When we are typing and when they're displaying information, right? So to do that, we need to override a bunch of methods. We come here and we say text rect, this one, like so. And what we want to do is just, we could return it in a line, right? Return. And what do we want to return? We want to return bounds, like so, bounds dot insert. And there are two options, like I said before. There's dxdy and insert with the UI edge inserts. Either will work. I'm going to use this one, UI edge inserts, and this is going to be, top is going to be 0, left is going to be 24, bottom is going to be 0, and right is going to be 0, right? And the next functionality, this is when we're editing, right? And here, what we want to do is we would like to call the editing rect, like so. And this is just going to be return. And what do we return? We return bounds dot insert by, and of course you can put the dxdy or whichever you prefer. I'm going to use the UI edge inserts. It's the recommended one. Either will work though. This is going to be 0 here. This is going to be left is going to be 24. The same, basically, what you could do. You could just copy this line that is above there and put it at the bottom. Either will do, right? The bottom is going to be 0, and this is also going to be 0, right? So that is going to be that. And the next one, we want to change the intrinsic size, right? Remember, they have intrinsic size. So what we have is you see there's a bit of space, right? Text fields tend to be a bit stingy and want to utilize as little space as possible. So what we want to do is we want to give it more space, right? We want to give it more space so that it can be a bit more occupy more space. Otherwise, it will shrink to the level of the text, the space it requires to show your text, right? So what we do is we come here and we say intrinsic content size, right? And here what we want to do is we want to return, and what do we want to return? We want to return CG size, like so, and the width is 0. The height is what we want to override, which is going to be 40, right? Now we have our settings text field, and the next thing to do is we need to figure out how we can show it as a default, because it's going to be more common than the others, as a default in our profile controller. Let's proceed. Now the next thing we need to do is we would need to take that text field and put it in a sort of table view cell, right? So we take that text field and put it in a table view cell. Okay, so we come here, and among our views, come here, say Command N, create a new Swift file. This one is going to be called settings cell. It's going to be exactly what you think it is. We're going to have UIKit here, right? Come here, say class settings cell. This is going to be UI table view cell. Come here, do this, and we're just going to say private. Okay, we could make it as private, right? Private let's text field, and text field is going to be of type settings text field, like so. And we're just going to come here and we say let tf is going to be okay, settings text field, like so. And then we say tf dot placeholder is going to be something like enter value, right? And we need to return it, so just return tf, right? And of course it's going to complain because we need to do that, right? We've done that a bit. We say here, come here and we say init this one, like so. And what we want to do is just call the super, so we say super dot init, and the style is going to be the style. The reuse identifier is going to be the reuse identifier, and then we're going to come here and we call a function called configure cell, right? Doesn't exist yet. It's going to complain we need this initializer, so we fix it. That's that. Then we come here and we need to call this, so we could say private func, and this is just going to be configure. And what do we call it? We call it configure cell, like so. Come here. What do we want here is going to be content view, and we just want to add to it add sub view, and the sub view is going to be the text field, like so. And then we say text field dot fill super view, right? Which is a function that we created. So that is basically all we need to do. Now we can now put our settings field, settings cell on the screen. Get to it. Now the first thing we could do is we could go back to the settings cell, and I realized that I made this private. We probably shouldn't make it private, right? Let's do that, because we're going to access it and change the placeholder, right? Or we could leave the placeholder as it is, right? So we don't have to change it. Okay, fine. This makes sense, right? So let's come to the profile controller, and the profile controller, what we want to do now is we want to our particular, the cell for row at, right? So we come here and we say cell for row at, that's the functionality. And what we want to do here is, because if you look at the image, right, 3 of them use the exact same, right? 3 of them are, these 3 are the same, these 2 are the same. And yeah, so this 3, we should minimize code and reuse it in several places. We could use a switch to give them a different value, right? So how we do that is pretty straightforward. We just come here and we say switch, and we want the index path dot section, like so.
and we come here and we say case 1 to 3, right? So what we're doing here is we're just making sure that if this is the case, if we have 1 to 3, what we want is going to be let cell is going to be settings cell, and the style is going to be dot default, and the reuse identifier is going to be nil because we're not going to be reusing it, right? We're only going to have one. We're not going to have so many as to have them come back, right? So what we want to do next is case 1 to 3. We get the cell and then we get the text. We come in, we say let text, spell it correctly, let text, and the text, what's the text? The text is going to be of type string. And what we want to do here is say switch, create another switch, and say index path dot section. And what we want to do is say case 1. Case 1, what we want is to have the text is going to be case is going to be Michael, right? Michael. Then come here and we say case 2. What are we going to have? We're going to have the text as being an iOS developer, right? And then case 3, this is going to be the text. Okay, let's do this. Text here, text is going to be okay, bio, a lover of long walks or something of the sort, right? And then here is going to be an iOS developer. Okay, so we did that. Then we need a default. We come here and we say default, like so. Default is going to be, give it a fatal error. Fatal error, the message is going to be unexpected error or something of the sort, right? Now what we want to do after this, we come outside this here and just say cell dot text field dot text is going to be the text here, right? So we apply the text there, right? And it's going to be complaining because the switch here is not exhaustive. So let's come here and make sure that we have a default, right? Copy this. Unexpected error, right? We have that default of that, and it's complaining because we're not returning a cell. And what we'd want to do is we would return a cell in this case, right? So then we return the cell, right? So a cell of type UI table view cell, right? Then the next thing is to make sure that we have the number of rows in section taken care of. So we do that. That presumably should give us, how many cells are we going to have? We are currently putting 2 sections, right? But we're coming here and putting all this section. So let's say we're going to have 4 sections, right? Put 4, and let's run things and see how things are going to look like. Okay, so this is what it looks like. We have a name of Michael, a lover of long walks. We can get rid of that, and when we get rid of that, we say enter value, right? A lover of long walks, we can get rid of that, and that gives us that, and we can get rid of that, and that gives us enter value. But they're not all names, right? That's one thing you will notice, is that these are not all names. What we would like to do is we would like to ensure that you should have the ability to pick exactly the name that you want. Instead of just saying name, we would have the others, as in the other cases, right? So header label dot text is going to be name, right? But this should not be the case. It should be that for every single header, we get a different name. Like for example, we check whether it's this, we put bio. We check whether it's that, we put, I believe this is bio. Let me just have a look at this, right? So we have name, about, and profession, right? So that's what you're supposed to do. Let's continue. Now, all our labels are saying the same thing. This shouldn't be the case. Probably use a switch to take care of that. So what we want to do here is come and say something like switch, and then we want to switch on the section, right? Come here and we say case 1, and here we're just going to say header label dot, we are in the view for header in section, right? Header label dot text, and the text is just going to be the name in this case, right? Then we say case 2, we come here and we say header label dot text. This is going to be, what's it going to be? It's going to be about, right? Then we come here and we say case 3, and this is just going to be header label dot text. And what is it going to be? This is going to be profession, right? So those 3 are taken care of, right? Those 3 are taken care of, and it needs a default. So come here and just say default. What's the default? Is going to be break, right? And then we just return the header label, right? Now, if we run this, presumably, if we have not made any errors, we should get something that we pretty much like. So the name is name, about, and profession, and iOS developer, and it all looks pretty decent to me, right? So that it's coming on nicely. Of course, we now need to worry about the other 2, right? We need the slider cell and we need the slider, the 2 sliders for the minimum age of the person you're interested in and the maximum age, right? So we need 2 sliders, and we can do that next. Continue. Now, what we want to do next is build up the settings cell, the slider cell, right? That's this, right? You see this and this. This slider cell is slightly different. Okay. How we do it is pretty straightforward. We come to controllers. No, it's a view. Come to views, Command N, new Swift file, hit next. This is going to be that. Come here, say UI, that, say class slider cell. This is going to be UI table view cell. Come here, and we're just going to create a slider. So we say let slider is going to be UI slider, like so. Come here, do this, do that. Come here, say let slider is going to be UI slider, like so, and UI slider, and here we say slider dot thumb color, thumb tint color, and this is going to be dot system purple. Then we say slider dot tint color, and this is going to be dot system that. Then we say slider dot self action is going to be hashtag selector, like so. This is going to be handle slider, spell it correctly, handle slider change, like so. And what we want to do here, handle slider change, like so. Come here, say do that, don't touch up inside. Done this a bunch of times. We need to return it, return that, right? Then we need a label, so we just come here and we say okay, of course it's going to complain it's not yet there. We say let label is going to be UI label. Don't say anything about it right now. Going to say style. Okay, what's it? Reuse identifier, this one, right? I was looking for this and not getting it. Call the super in it. This is going to be style. Reuse identifier is going to be reuse identifier, right? Then we say let slider stack. This is going to be UI stack view, and here we're going to have arrange subviews. It's going to be an array like so. It's going to be label and put that, and that's going to be slider like so, right? And then we need to tell it the axis. Okay, it defaults to horizontal, right? It does default to horizontal. So this is not essentially required, but we could say dot axis. If you don't, it's going to default to the same, right? So horizontal. If you want it vertical, that's when you need to tell it. We need this particular initializer. Fix that. Then come here and we say content view dot add sub view, and that's going to be the slider stack, right? And basically that, right? Because we have everything there, and we just say slider stack dot anchor, and that's going to be the top. Is going to be the top anchor, and then the leading is going to be the leading anchor. Then the bottom is going to be the bottom anchor. Trailing is going to be that. Padding top 8. Padding leading. Let's go with leading. We just want space all around. Padding 8. Padding bottom 8. 8, right? That's done. Now the next is going to be, how do we set we want to be able to set the maximum and the minimum. So we come here and we say func set, and this is going to be the max is going to be float, and the min is going to be float. It's going to make sense why in a bit, right? And here we're just going to say slider dot maximum value, and this is going to be the max. And then we say slider dot minimum value. It's going to be the min. And we need to come here and we say, where is the handle slider change? Oh, we haven't created it, right? At Objective-C func, this is going to be called obj-c, like so. Func, this is going to be called handle slide change, and we just need to get the sender, say sender like so. Originally I don't think we need the sender, do we? Probably not, right? So we could just come here. Okay, we could put it, because I was doing something with it a bit earlier and then left the code as it is. You don't need the sender, by the way. So size to fit, right? Okay, so that is everything we need in this particular view. You could make a few changes here, clean this up, come here, not pass in that, and it's going to work, right? So you could make those necessary changes, but I'm not going to. But what we need now is to make sure that we have, in particular, the two sliders that we have here, right? We want to put them on the screen and see them. Continue. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to handle our sliders, right? This is where we are. This is where we are, right? This. And we need to handle the sliders, right? So the sliders, let's just have a quick look at them. This is what they look like. They have a minimum age, maximum age, a label, and this particular button, right? Okay, the thumb and the track, right? Okay, so what we could do is, because both of them, if you notice, both of them are going to have the same minimum and the maximum. It's just that the value that is going to be different. We may have overwritten this, right? So we come here to the function and set. I just realized that this is actually not necessary, right? Because both of them are going to have the same value, max and minimum, right? So we could just come here and get rid of this, right? Come up here and say slider dot maximum value is going to be 100, and then come here and say slider dot minimum value is going to be 17, right? Because it's going to be the same for both of them. And basically that is going to be that. Now the next thing we would need to do is let's go to Profile controller. Let's go back to profile controller. What do we want to do? We would like to first increase the number of, we have 4 sections. We want 6 now, right? So now we're going to have 6 sections and minimum, maximum age, right? So here we say, we come here to the view for header in section and we say for case 4, this is going to be header label dot text, and this is just going to be minimum age. Repeat the trick, say case 5, this is going to be header label dot text, this is going to be maximum age. That is sorted, right? Now we need the cell for that particular section. So for that, how we do it is pretty straightforward. We're going to, since we are going to be using the same cell, we could use the same logic that we had here, right? So we come here and we say case 4 for the 5th row and 6 and 5 for the 6th one, right? What we want to do is say let cell, and the cell in question is going to be the slider cell. The style is going to be .default. The reuse identifier, we don't want to reuse, we say nil, right? That's going to be that, and then we say let title is going to be of type string, right? Then we say let value, which is going to be a float, right? Okay, so that is done, and now we can actually create them by saying switch for switch, and we want on the index path dot section, like so. Come here, what's that? What this is going to be case 4. Case 4, what's case 4? Case 4 is going to be the title is going to be, we come here and we say we just want the min, and come here and say this is going to be, the minimum is going to be 17, and the value is going to be 17.0, right? That's what it's going to start off as, of course. And then we come here and we say case 5. Case 5, what it's going to have, it's going to be title, is going to be max is going to be 65, right? And then value is going to be 65, the same value, right? So 65, like so. Then we have a default, and we just say default here is going to be fatal error, and here we're just going to say unexpected error. That is going to be that. And now what we want to do is to come here and say, wait, at the end of the index path, where is this, right? Here, right. So here at the end of the index path, we just want to say cell.label.text, and this is going to be set as a title, right? And then we are going to, let's see. Okay, I'm foreseeing problems with this approach, but we'll fix it when we get there, right? Dot value, and the value is going to be value, right? And after that, let's just get there and we'll fix that, any problems that we encounter, right? So here we say return cell, right? So that's going to be that. And if we have done everything according to the plan, this should actually work. Of course, the title is not going to change because of this, because ideally we should create a function that essentially updates every time the user moves the slide. But for now, we just want to see the sliders, and we want them moving, right? So let's run this, and if we run this, if there are no errors, we should see something that we like, right? So let's come here and see, okay, maximum 65, minimum. We should be able to go all the way to 100, right? We can, all the way to 17, all the way to that, right? We can do this, but the issue is, or the difference is, that now the label doesn't change according to the value that the thumb is on, right? When the thumb moves and it gets a different value, it's not recorded, it's not reflected here. That should be our next thing, but everything is working. We have now the name, and we can compare with it with this, right? So if we compare, they do look a bit alike. Of course, this is the images here are a bit better, but yeah. But now we have everything, and now we're getting towards the end, and yeah, but everything is as it should be, right? So that is okay, right? Let's go to the next thing. Now, what we want next is we'd sort of like the to make sure that when we move the sliders, the text changes according to where the thumb is on the track, right? So how we do that is we would like to come here and we just say cell.slider.add target, and here it's going to be a bit different from what you're used to. No, we have already seen one that is like that, right? It's going to be that selector. This one is going to be called handle age change, like so, and this is going to be for touch up inside, right? Doesn't exist yet, so we need to create this function. Let's come to the bottom here, and here we're just going to call this at Objective-C func. This one is going to be called handle age change, right? Handle age, spell it correctly, handle age change, right? So let's proceed from there. What's handle age change, right? So first we need the minimum age cell and the maximum age cell so that we can put them in place. And one thing you're going to notice is that because these are preferences, right? Your minimum age should always be lower than your maximum age, which is a bit obvious, right? You can't have a preference for minimum age of people who are 35, then your maximum age is 17, right? So the maximum age must always be greater than the minimum age. So if ever you move your track, the minimum thumb, to the point where it equals the maximum age, the two of them should move in tandem, right? So for example, if you come here and you move 17 until it hits 37, after that, the 37 should move according to the 17, right? Because the maximum age can never be lower than the minimum age, or the minimum age can never be greater than the maximum age. So that's the logic. That's what we're trying to handle here, right? So the first thing to do is we would need to get the minimum age cell, the actual cell, right? So come here and we say guard let min age cell, and the minimum age cell is just going to be the table view, like so. Cell for row at, and what's the row? It's going to be 4 0, and we cast it as slider cell else. So now we have the minimum age cell. Next we have the maximum age cell. We say guard let max age cell. This is going to be table view dot cell for row at, and that's going to be at, this should be an array, right? This one index path is going to be section 5 row 1, the first row in section 5, which is going to be 0, and we cast it as slider cell else. So get those two and do that, right? And after we get that, we say let min value, and the minimum value is going to be an integer, and we want the min age cell dot slider dot value, like so, and then we say var max value, and this is going to be int, and we come here and we say max age cell dot slider dot value, like so. So we now have the minimum value and the maximum value. We just come here and we say max value. Max value is going to be the maximum of either the min value or the max value, right? That's going to be the max value. And the maximum age slider, age cell dot slider dot value is always going to be on the maximum value, right? And this can be gotten by saying float. This is going to be the max value, right? So that's how you get it to move. And then afterwards, we would need to say here min age cell dot label dot text. What's this going to be? It's going to be min, come here, slide, put this, min value, repeat the trick, max age cell dot label dot text, and this is going to be max max interpolate max value, right? So that's going to be that. And if we have done everything as it should be, let's try it out and see it, right? Okay, let's see this. Come here and see. Okay, this is not, it is not, let's see. Oh, it's finally moving, right? Okay, it's working. See, like if we come here, it goes to 84, right? There is no way you can actually put it here and not make it, it bounces back, right? So it makes sure that if you move the minimum age, if you try to move the minimum age, if you try to move the minimum age to be greater than the maximum age, right? Like so, they're going to move in tandem, right? If you move it, if you try to move it lesser than that, it moves back, right? Because the minimum, the maximum can never be lower than the minimum, right? So that's basically what we were doing, right? And I think that's that, right? So yeah, that's that. So let's actually proceed from there. Let's proceed. Now that we're done with our slider, the next thing we need to do would be, let's see, we need the preference, right? So we need this preference button. Let's create it. Come here, views, command N, preference cell, like so, or one word, right? Preference cell. Hit that, create it, and we need to import UIKit. So come here, say UIKit, like so, say class, this is going to be called preference cell, like so. This is going to be UI table view cell, come here, then we're going to have it. We'll say let segmented control, and segmented control is going to be UI segmented control, like so. We come here, do this, that's going to be that. Do that, come here, say this is going to be let sc is going to be UI segmented control, and same, we have done this before, so I'm going to speed through items. Items here is going to be gender dot all values, returns an array, if you can remember, right? That was a couple of sections back. Jump here, all values, an array of strings which are going to be our various genders, right? So we do that, then we say sc dot background color is going to be dot light gray, like so. Then we say sc dot selected segment index is going to be, we wanted system segment index dot segmented index tint color. Okay, it's not helping me, but sc dot selected segment index tint color, this is the one I want, and this one is going to be system. So that is done. Then we want to return it, so we return sc, right? That is done, and the next one is going to be init, like so. This is going to be that, called the super. We have seen that a bunch of times, super.init. This is going to be style. This is going to be reuse identify style. This is going to be, okay, style, hit tab. Hitting tab, it's not tabbing. Okay, content view dot add sub view. That's going to be segmented control. Segmented control, we have it here, and then we say segmented control, let's anchor it. So how do we anchor it? We anchor it like so. This is going to be the top, is going to be the top anchor, like so. The leading is going to be the leading anchor, like so. The bottom is going to be the bottom anchor, like so. The trailing padding top, padding leading, padding bottom, padding trailing, like so. we sorted that, and of course it's going to complain that we don't have the required initializer. Hit that, that is sorted, that is more or less fixed, and we're done. Now we just need to call it in the profile controller. You probably should try to create it yourself, and then afterwards come back to this and see how you would do it. It's pretty straightforward, if I am not incorrect, right? Because yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You should just look at the code and figure out how to put it, right? So what we want to do is increase the number of sections. Come here, say this is going to be, there were 6, now they're going to be 7. Okay, then we need the 6th one. Come here, say case 6 rather. It's going to be header label dot text. It's going to be, remember we can change our preference but not our gender. So preference, spelling preference is a bit of a challenge. Okay, then after that we would come here and say case, and what's the case? The case is going to be 6, right? Case 6, we are going to say let cell equals preference cell, like so. Style is going to be .default. Reuse identifier is going to be nil, like so. And cell.selected, segmented control.selected, segment index is going to be 1, like so. And yeah, we need to return it, right? So return cell, right? So if there are no errors, okay, that's a 0, no errors. Let's run this and see how it goes. Come here, and you see it's selected. We have the female selected, but I think this is a bit squashed. If you look at this, you find that this is a bit larger, right? So what we could do is we could come here where we are allotting space, where we are allotting the space, right? So that we check here, we put the number of sections. Here is going to be 7. Here we have the header and all that. Then here index path, that is sorted. Header, okay. A bit lost. I want to add the amount of space. Where do we height for row at, right? Do we have a height for row at, or number of rows in section? Okay, I can't see self row at. We don't have a height for our rows, right? We could give it a height, right? Let's just come in to see sc.set height. That's another thing, right? We could come in to just say set height is going to be 40, right? Oh, I don't know what was the other segmented index, right? Okay, 50. Let's see that. Okay, it's still stuck on that particular height, right? Because of that. And let's get rid of this and proceed. Now, what do? We need to increase the height. So let's just come here and create the height for row, right? Height for row at, right? And what we want to do is say if index path dot section is going to be the one with the preference cell, which is going to be 6, return 50, else return 40, right? So let's just say it explicitly, try running it, and hopefully we're going to give our cell a bit more space, right? Now it's a bit chunkier, right? And if you want to maybe switch to male instead of that, you could come and we're setting the selected segment index here, right? So if we do this now, we do have our cell and it's as it should be. and we can actually proceed from there, because I believe this is everything, right? So that's good, that's good, that's good, that's good, right? So everything is as it should be, and we can actually proceed from
Let's
here.
continue. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to create an alert that you're going to use, that you're going to show whenever a user tries to do something that is not, they try to do something that they're not allowed to do, right? So for example, if we come here and we're also going to be doing it in the next, when you're doing the next thing, right? When you come here and you try to access this, instead of saying not allowed, you're supposed to show them an alert, right? And because you're going to be doing this in several places, like here in March, when you run out of swipes, we're going to show you the alert. We also want to call it there. And also when we create the next, what's it called? The next scroller, or the next slider rather, and you try to access users who are further than the distance that you are allocated, right? So if, for example, if you are not, if you are a user who is a VIP, you'll be able to access people from all over the world. If you're a user who's not a VIP, you'll only be able to access users who are within your locality, right? Maybe we could say 50 or 100 kilometers, or we're going to primarily be doing in kilometers. If you want to convert it to miles, it's also okay, right? So that is that, right? Let's proceed. So what we want to do is create that now, because it's going to be accessible from everywhere, right? So for example, if we do, if we also come to the match screen, another place where we're going to access this, also this alert, right? We're going to access it from the match and the matches, right? So on the match screen, you're going to, when you run out of swipes, we're going to show you the alert, and also here. There are a couple of things you're going to be able to do here. We'll get to that in a couple of videos out, right? So what we want here is to show that, and because you're going to use it in multiple places, I'm sure you know what that means. We probably need to put it in our extensions. So let's go to our extensions, right? And now in our extensions, what we want to do is we would like to come to the view controller, right? And now with the view controller, what we want to do here is we would like to create the alert, the extension for the view controllers. We want alert with options, right? So we come here and we say func, it's going to be called alert with option. It should be option, it's options, but it's going to be one option, right? It's going to have a title, which is going to be of type string. Then it's going to have a message, which is going to be of type string. Then it's going to have the preferred type, right? I don't know if we're going to change that, but let's just put it like that. You could maybe use it for something. And this is going to be UI alert controller, like so. What's the type? The type controller, no, the style. The style here is going to be dot alert, like so. Then the next option is going to be of type string, like so. And the destructive, we're going to make it as useful to us as possible. It's going to be false. Of course, you could set it to true. And we're going to come here and we say cancel completion handler, right? What this is, it's going to allow you to do something after you cancel, right? So this is just going to be, we come here and we say cancel completion handler, and this is going to be of type handler space, like so. And this is going to be, and then we come here and we say this is going to be UI alert action, like so. And this is going to be void, like so. This is going to be nil, like so. This is going to be next option handler, and this is going to be at escaping, like so. And it's going to be the same here. So at escaping, that means it's going to be called after the function is done, right? So what that is it's going to be cancel completion handler, that's going to be void nil. Why is this complaining? Let's see. Expected name following this, right? So we say false, and then we say cancel completion. Oh, okay, we're forgetting to put this, right? So that's that. I was wondering what the matter is, right? So here we say escaping, then come here, and this is going to be
come here, we want the UI alert action like so, and we just want this, come here, say void, and basically that, come here, do that, right? So this is going to be a very helpful alert. You're going to use it in multiple places. It does exactly what you want. After the alert, you can call a function, right? That's basically what it does, and ideally it is set to nil, and you have also another option, right? So let's put the code. We say let alert controller like so, the alert controller, and this is going to be UI that, and the title is going to be the title, the message is going to be the message, the preferred style is going to be since it's going to be alert, right? It's going to be alert if we don't specify it, right? Since the default is alert, so we can, since we're using the default, let's leave it like that, right? Then after that, missing preferred style. I thought already preferred is going to be UI alert control. Well, I thought we provided the oh no, this is for the alert controller. Sorry, I thought that was this, right? Yeah, that's just going to be the preferred. The preferred here is going to be, preferred style is going to be dot, we could say here preferred like so, right? So we just pass in that, or if you want, you could say preferred style is going to be dot alert. Either is okay, right? So basically that, and the next one is going to be let next option, okay, option like so. The next option is going to be UI alert, alert action, and this is going to be that. Let's pick this one like so. This is going to be, the title is going to be next option. The style is going to be either we have the destructive, we check destructive. If destructive is set to true, we are going to return dot destructive, right? If destructive is set to true, this is going to be destructive. Destructive just means that the option is going to be in red, right? If you're wondering what that is, right? Default, and the handler is going to be the next option handler, right? So we come here and we say alert controller like so, and we add action. Add action is going to be next option. Next option, we say let cancel action. Let cancel action is going to be UI alert action, and this is going to be title, is going to be, spell it correctly, cancel style is going to be cancel. Oh god, no, come here. That's going to be cancel. Handler is going to be cancel completion handler like so, and that's going to be that. And alert controller is going to be add action, and action in question is going to be cancel action like so. And then we present everything. We say self dot present. Okay, let's just type it out, present. And what we want to do is going to be the alert controller like so, and animated is going to be true, right? Let's do that. And now in order to use it, because you're going to be using, we can use this in multiple places with different alerts and stuff like that, right? But what we want to do, like when you're trying to delete a user's account, we could just use one of these and give the option of it being destructive and whatnot, right? That the user can know that this is going to be something that is consequential that they're doing, right? But since we're going to be calling handle upgrade alert, we could use this for eventually to show our pop-up that we will create in a couple of videos down from here, right? It's going to be in SwiftUI. So we come here and we say func, and this is going to be called handle upgrade alert, and here it's just going to take a message. And what's the message? The message is going to be of type that, right? Let's come here and we say we want alert with options. The title in question is going to be upgrade account like so. Let's spell it out. The message is going to be the message. The next option is going to be called upgrade now, right? We hit this, hit enter, and we get a closure. We underscore in, and we can now write our code in the closure, right? For now, what you're going to do is we're going to print, and what are you going to print? You're going to print the word upgraded. We're going to later on do some other stuff, show some other things, right? When we actually build out the view, we're going to put it here, right? So for now, we're just going to say upgraded. You're going to print upgraded so that you know everything is working as it should, right? So that is done, and we go to the profile controller, and in the profile controller, so we have a flag, and if you can remember, the flag is going to be set to, it's a boolean basically that is currently set to false, just like edit mode, right? So what we'd like to do is if the flag is true, we show image picker, else we print not allowed, right? So what we'd like to do here is, instead of this, we'd like to say handle upgrade alert, and our message in question is going to be, you need to be a VIP account to add multiple photos, full stop, to your profile, photos to your profile, full stop, and then you say upgrade, spell it correctly, upgrade your account to enjoy this feature, right? So we tell the user that, and it's going to be called if the user picks the other button, right? The non-avatar button. We want to give them at least one picture, encourage them to pick the others, right? So let's run this and make sure that this is as it should be. Okay, give it a second, and now we have this here, right? So let's see this. If we hit this, we get this upgrade account. You need to be a VIP account to add multiple photos to your profile. Upgrade your account to enjoy this feature. That's when we hit number 4, I believe, because we get the number 4 here. And if we hit upgrade now, we get the word upgraded, right? Let's try number 3. We get number 3 here. And if we hit cancel, nothing happens, right? And if we try number 2, you're told upgrade now, blah, 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 upgrade now, and you get upgraded. If we hit the avatar button, we should get the this PH picker, right? Let's just check one thing. There's one thing I want to check. Let's go to our setup photo controller, and here we get this configuration. If you pick this line is going to make the picker open a bit faster. I'm noticing that we're not doing that. It's a bit slow if you try it out on the profile controller, right? So where we have our PH picker, I don't think we're doing that. Where's our PH picker functionality? Right, so basically here with the configuration, what we need to do is put that, right? Configuration.preferred asset representation mode, hit current. That's going to make it faster, right? Run this, try it out. We already called it there, so let's see it, right? So that's going to be that. And now what we want to do is try it out. Upgraded, right? Of course, let's try it with the asset, this. Okay, I clicked on it. Okay, still seem a bit slow, but yeah, could be slower. Now let's flip it and check the flag, change the flag to be positive so that we can see that whether we get the, of course, what the flag is going to be is just check if the user is a VIP, right? So we come here and we say true, like so, save this, do this, return, reload, Command R, and we get that, right? So if we hit this, we should get the image picker. It works for this, it works for 3, and it works for 2, and it also works for 1, right? Just to confirm. Why is it slow on 1? Okay. Is it me or is it slow on 1? Okay, it seems okay. It doesn't seem as fast. See? Yeah, there's a sort of lag when it picks 1. Maybe it's because I'm recording my voice as I'm running the simulator. It's taxing my my laptop, right? Okay, so basically that, if you do that, that's going to be essentially everything that you need to do. And yeah, that's that. So let us proceed, and the next things I think we need to do are going to be stuff to do this, right? We have done everything until here. Now we need this, the slider, the global slider, and the deactivate button. And this delete account is going to launch another view which we need to recreate. So there's still a bit we need to do on this page. Let's to it. Continue. What's the next thing we need to do? I think we need to handle the last 2 things, right? We need to handle the show users around me, the slider, and the deactivate account, right? Deactivate account button or delete account button, however you want to say it, right? So the first thing we want to do is increase the number of sections, make them 8, and we need to come here, say case 7, This is going to be header label.text, and this is going to be something like show users around me, right? So show users around me, right? That's going to be that. And now one thing we could do is, instead of creating a new cell, and I actually realized why I had, if we jump into the slider cell, I realized why I didn't originally set the hard code, the maximum value here and the minimum value here. And the reason for that was that I created a function that you can pass it in so that you can use the same slider cell for all of them, right? Because the difference between the slider cells is that this, in particular, this slider cell is going to go all the way from 25 to the entire distance of the Earth, right? The entire distance. I'll explain how we calculate that in a bit, right? So this is supposed to ensure that you can go all the way from, you're going to start off by seeing only users who are 25 kilometers away from you, which is about, okay, I don't know. Convert that into miles, right? 25 kilometers, convert that into miles. So you're going to see users that are that close all the way to globally, right? So when you get to the end like here, the range is no longer going to show kilometers, it's going to say global. Otherwise, it's going to tell you like 500 kilometers. 500 kilometers assumes that you're a VIP. If it's more than 100 kilometers, if you want to match with users who are more than 100 kilometers around you, we are going to require you to be a VIP, right? So that is basically that. So that's why I didn't hardwire it. Now there are two options. You could remove this here, put the function here, then as you're creating it, call that function and pass in the maximum and minimum value. I had forgotten that I'd done that originally. That was my original intent when I was building it up, right? So the other option, of course, is just to do it when you're creating the cell, right? So let's do that since it's the easier option and we've already set the maximum and the minimum value here, right? And also it will require less changes of code, because on the other side, they will just have the maximum and the minimum, because we're using it in 2 for the ages that are pretty much the same. Okay, that is done. That is explained. Let us go back to our profile controller and set that out, right? So after we do this, right, what we want to do is come here and say case 7, right? Come here and say case 7. And what do we want to create with case 7? Let's slider cell. Okay, let's cell, and cell is just going to be slider cell, and the style is going to be default. The reuse identifier is going to be nil, like so. Come here and say let distance is going to be 50, right? So you're going to give the user 50 kilometers. Cell dot slider dot maximum value is going to be 1,000. When you set it to 1,000, if you're looking for users who are 1,000 kilometers from you, we are going to assume that we're going to switch that 1,000 into global, right? We're going to make it global, right? So we come in, then we say cell dot slider dot minimum value. Minimum value, this is going to be 25, right? So you're going to go all the way from 25 to 1,000, right? And then we say cell, come here, say cell dot slider dot value, and the value is going to be, and we need to floatify it, as I say, float, and then we put the distance, right? So that you convert it into because when you put it as 50 like so, or unless you come here and explicitly say that this is going to be a float like so, right? When you say 50 like this, it's going to think 50 is an integer, right? So that's why you need to convert it to float. Either method is you could do. I don't see a difference, right? So that is the thing. And this code might not make sense now, but it'll make sense when we are loading the data as you open the app, right? So when you open the app, you're going to get the user's data from Firebase, right? And then when you get the user's data from Firebase, ideally, we're not going to go get the user's data from Firebase unless you like delete the app, right? Or something like that, right? Unless you delete the app, then you're going to get it back, right? But what we're going to do actually here is that you're going to store it maybe locally, right? We're going to store it locally. So what you're going to do here is we are going to check the current set range. So in the off chance that you have deleted the app and you're downloading it from but that's going to be difficult because there is no instance. If you delete the app, then you'll also delete the fact that you have started before, because you're going to create the first start. Like the first time you create it, we're going to save it on user defaults that you have started it before, so that you don't see the onboarding again, right? So we save you the whole process. We know that you have onboarded, and we are not going to show you the add your photo and all that, right? So that is something that we should do, right? So this code is on the off chance that we
you have actually set the value to be I can't, now that I think about it, I can't think of an instance where this code would actually run from here. Okay, I'm sure when I was writing it, okay, I'm stumped. I can't think, right? So let's say this is going to be 1,000, right? This is going to be 1,000 like so. If distance is ever set to 1,000, cell.label dot, because otherwise it's going to be affected by the function that we're going to create. So I'm not entirely sure why this code will run, right? But I'm sure when I was writing it, let me see, I can't think of when this is actually going, because yeah, this is probably not going to be executed, right? So for now, since it's not going to be executed, I can't think of an instance where this code would be executed, right? Because wait, unless you're a VIP. Okay, I've thought of an instance. Yes, I was wondering what was the instance. So the instance that this code might be executed is you're a VIP who deleted the account, then came back and we downloaded your data from Firebase, and then the data from Firebase finds that you actually set the distance to 1,000, right? So that is the off chance, right? So this code might be executed if you're a VIP who deletes the account, right? So that's probably the only case, right? So you need to think sometimes as to why you put something in place. So yes, range is going to be, and then we use string interpolation and come here and we say this is going to be distance km, right? We're going to deal with kms primarily, right? So it's going to complain that this will never be executed, but later on we'll see how that is going to be, right? So the next thing here is to come and say cell dot slider dot add target self hashtag selector handle range, right? Dot value changed, right? Value changed. Okay, so the issue here, why the slider was a bit sluggish, was that we were setting this slider to value changed, right? To touch up inside. That's not what we should do. We should set this to value change, right? It's a slider, not a button, right? We're treating this the slider like a button, which we shouldn't, right? So this should be value change. So it's going to be a bit better, right? So we set that, and then we create this function to make sure that it stops complaining. We have handle age, come here and say at objective C func, and this is going to be called handle, spell it correctly, handle. Let's just make sure everything is okay. Handle range for now, and we check that our buttons are a bit, our sliders are more. I remember that when we were testing our sliders, they were a bit sluggish, right? So we say here print something like for now, right? For now, we're coming to it in a second. Let's just make sure that we have corrected the issue that we had, right? It's going to complain here, and the reason it's complaining is because we're not returning anything. So what we want to do is just come here and we say return. What do we want to return? We want to return the cell, right? So we return the cell, we run this, and this should give us something. Okay, so come here, and we have 50 kilometers. It starts over at 50, and now you'll see our button is better because here it acts when the value changes, right? So we get this when the value changes, and when it gets here, they move together in tandem, right? So you get that, right? Right. And we can also come here, and you notice that this maximum can never go below the maximum, the minimum, right? So basically that's right. We are using it on value change rather than touch up inside, so that makes it a bit more responsive. So it's doing what we want, right? And now when we call this, it just prints out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? The stew, the number stew that we actually put in place. Let us instead put the logic. And the logic is pretty straightforward. So what we want to do here is come and say something like let VIP is going to be set to false, like so. And then we come here and we say guard let range cell, and the range cell is just going to be the table view dot cell for row at, and we could specify the index path more explicitly, like index path, and here we're just going to say row 0 section 7, and we want it cast as question mark, cast as slider cell, else
return, right? And the next thing, okay, this is done, right? So we now have this as our range cell. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is jump to definition. We could compare it with this, right? So you could either put it like this, you could specify exactly the index path with the row and the section if you want. That's one way you could do it, right? The index path, and we're doing it like that here. And else, yeah, so basically this, right? Okay. Everything is as it should be. What is the next thing we want to do, right? The next thing we want to do is get the range value. Come here and create a variable. Say var, and we convert it into an integer. And here it's just going to be range cell dot slider, not self, dot slider dot value. That's going to be that. And we check if range value is greater than 100. So if the range value is greater than 100, we check whether or not you're a VIP. If not VIP, that means that you have not signed up for our premium. What we want to do is say handle upgrade. There's a handle upgrade alert with the message that we created. Handle upgrade alert, and then you tell the user you need to upgrade to VIP to connect with users further than 100 km, further than 100 km, right? So let's just put it like that, right? And then after that, we come here and we say range cell dot slider dot is user interaction enabled, and we just say this is going to be false for now. We're going to make it false, and then we say range cell dot slider dot value is going to be set to 99, and then we're going to say range cell dot slider dot is user interaction enabled. We make it true, and then after that we return, right? So basically, if you're not a VIP, we are going to disable your ability to. We're going to show you the handle upgrade alert, right? Tell you buy our premium package. Then we disable your interaction. Then we set the slider value to 99. Then we allow you to interact with the slider, right? And else, that means that you're a VIP, right? This is if you're not a VIP. If ever you get to the point where if range value is going to be set to 1,000, we are going to set the, come here and say range value is going to be set to 20,000, right? We'll figure that what that means later, right? And afterwards, after we set the value to 20,000, why we're picking 20,000, right? It's when we're doing the calculation, of the we're trying to get the distance from the user, right? So one thing we're going to assume is that this 20,000 will be enough if you're on opposite sides of the pool, right? So if somebody is standing at one point and then the other person is at the literally the opposite end of the world, and both of you at the equator where the earth is thickest, right? I believe 20,000 will be more than enough for radius, right? The radius of the earth. Is it radius or diameter? I'm not sure. No, it's not the radius. It's the diameter, right? Because the diameter of the earth is not more than 40,000 kilometers, right? At the equator, right? So 20,000 is more than enough. We're going to pass this to a function that we're going to create much later on when we come back to this page. This is going to be several, very many videos later on, right? So that's why we're setting it now to 20,000, so that when we come to that point, you could just plug this in, and then if you set it to 20,000 to the function that we're going to create, it's going to be a lot easier to calculate the distance and make sure that at any one point you don't put a user. You essentially, if you put it 20,000, you're going to be able to connect with even somebody who's direct. Like if you're on a ship, right? You're on a ship on one point and he's on a ship on the other, and you're both on the equator and you're on opposite ends of the world. It's going to allow you to connect. So that is the logic there. Don't worry if you don't understand it now. We'll get back to it, right? So we come here and we say if range value is going to be 20,000, what do we want to do? That is, if you have ever set it to 20,000, we want to set the range. Instead of telling the user that it's going to be 20,000 kilometers, the user will be like, will be curious about it, right? Like, why are we setting it to oh no, this is not supposed to be if we set this to 1,000, right? If range value is going to be that, so if you increase this essentially until we get to 1,000, range value is going to be 20,000, and then here we're going to say range cell, yeah, it works. Range cell dot label dot text is going to be global, and the reason we're saying global, like I was saying, is that when you get to 1,000 kilometers, just let the user change the range to global, right? Else we're going to give you the number of kilometers that you are setting for the user, but I don't think above 100. If you're willing to travel more than, to see people who are more than, I'm guessing, 200 kilometers from you, that should mean, if you're willing to travel more than 200 kilometers from you, that should mean that essentially you're okay going global in my mind. But here we're going to set it to 1,000, right? Range.label range, okay. Come here, string interpolation rather is going to be range value km, right? Okay, so now we have everything that we need. Let us just run this, right? So don't worry about this. We're going to flip this because this is not going to be established. Whether or not you're a VIP, it's not going to be established here. It's going to be established by checking. We're going to put it on the user, right? So you're going to see it. That's going to be a few videos away from now. So don't worry about this, right? Will never be executed. So let's come here and we see, we get to 91. If we get to 100, you need to upgrade to VIP to connect with users further than 100 kilometers. Sad face. So we could either cancel or let's try it again. And we get to 99, upgrade now. So you see it's set to 99, upgrade now, and we should get the word upgraded, right? But if we flip this, let's flip this and see what happens when we are a VIP, right? So, and also let's go to the lowest value, right? Let's just come back here and come back all the way to 25, right? So that is that. So let us come here and sort it out. What do we sort? Where do we sort it? Yeah, let's set this to true, right? Let VIP, and this is going to be true, right? So if we set this to true, right, this will then never be executed, right? So let's run this. Okay, come here, and now we can go all the way to 715 kilometers, 838 kilometers, 896 kilometers, and when we get to the end, we say global, right? So that's going to be global. But if you get below that, it becomes, right, the range changes, right, all the way to 25, right? So that's basically how it's going to work, right? So you're going to show the user KMs like so, and when you get here, the value is going to be global, right? So that's basically it, right? Okay. So that's our range slider, and now we can proceed to the next thing. Let's continue. Now, the next thing we need to do, and you can see what we are about to do. I was just looking at the Google button. We are going to create the delete account functionality. Now, according to Firebase, before you delete a user's account, you must give them an opportunity to re-authenticate themselves before deleting the account. So that in case somebody just grabs your phone, they can't delete your account without first asking whether or not it has to first check that it's you, right? Somebody might have just grabbed your account and tried to delete it. So before you delete an account, you're supposed to ask a user to sign back in and then delete them, right? And remember, in our app, we have 3 ways of signing in. You have the email, you have the password, you have the email and password, then you have the Apple, and you have Google sign-in, right? So if you have Google sign-in, remember, Apple requires that you must use also Apple's proprietary sign-in method with Apple sign-in, right? So either of those are going to be good, right? So one thing we could do is we're going to hit this, and then we're going to show the user a half sheet, and then in the half sheet, we're going to have the particular buttons, the Apple, sign in with Apple, and sign in with Google. And because you already created those sign in with Apple and sign in with Google, we could do 2 things, right? We could copy this code, put it on our profile controller, which is getting long, or we could put this sign in with Apple, sign in with Google on our UI view controller extension, and then make it available everywhere, right? So let's do that. So let's come here, and we are going to create a function, right? Wait, let's come here and say, let's create the function first, right? So let's come to the extension, and here in the extension, we're just going to create a function, and this function is going to be called func make Google button, right? And it's going to take in a selector, and the selector is going to be of type that, right? And what it's going to spit out is going to be that, right? And then we could come here and let's go to our login controller, and in our login controller we probably need all this stuff, right? So let's just come here, copy this, go back to extension, instead of typing it all out because it's exactly the same, there's no need to have a retread. So we do the configuration field, we make it large, we make it black, we put in the icon.google, we put the image padding, we put the image padding, the attribute container, the font is going to be 18, the text is going to be Google sign in, both of them, the button is going to be the configuration, and then the difference, of course, there has to be a difference somewhere, right? The difference here is just going to be, we're going to pass in the particular selector here, is going to be the selector that we pass in here, right? So that's going to be the difference, right? So that's going to be the selector touch up inside, right? So that's done. Then we need the make Apple button, and you could actually try it out. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to try and see if you can do it by yourself, right? The button is called make Apple button, right? Or make Apple button, I don't know, give it a name. So make Apple button. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? So let me show you how I would do it. We would pretty much repeat this, right? And for this, it's a bit different, right? We need to import this first, right? We need to import this authentication services. So let's come here. Let's copy this authentication services. Let's go to extensions, and in extensions, it's going to be we come here, we paste this, that's going to be that. We go back here. Okay, we go to profile control, where are we? We're in extensions, right? And then now we say func. This one is going to be called make Apple button, like so. Then it's going to have selector this is going to return AS authorization Apple ID button, right? That's what it's called, right? And then for the code, we need to go back to the login controller, and I believe there's a make Apple button, right? So let's just copy this, right? Remember, the difference is that now we're going to use the selector. So come here, paste the code. It's going to be AS authorization Apple ID button, and the style is going to be the same as black. We add the target to it, and here the difference is that this is going to be the selector, right? Come here, say selector, and this is going to be touch up inside. That's going to be that. Then we return BT in this case, which is going to be our button, right? So that is basically the same. And we could make sure that it works. How are we going to make sure it works? By coming to login controller, and let's come to the login controller, and instead of this, we could come here and we say this is called handle Apple sign in, right? Let's just comment this out for now, and then come here and say lazy var make Apple. Why isn't it helping us? You know, you get a bit concerned when it's not helping you. Let's see, this is going to be on the view controller, right? It's on the view controller. So for some reason wait, it's called the Apple button. So let's come here, lazy var Apple button, and this is going to be make Apple button, and the selector here is going to be the same as this, right? So let's just pass in this. If that works, let's come and do that, right? So okay, handle Apple sign in, right? So let's see what's the issue, because let's come to handle Apple sign in, jump to the definition, and that's going to be Objective C. Let's go back to our extension and see where the hell is it. Okay, it's at the bottom, I'm sure. So let's see, this is going to be the selector. Here is going to be the action is going to be the selector, and the type is going to be that, right? So basically that. Okay, let's continue. Now, what is the issue? Where is it, right? So here we have this make Apple button, right? This should be hashtag selector, and then we say handle Apple sign in. Let's do that, and that's done, right? So that is done, and let's just confirm it works. And how we're going to confirm it works by coming to the scene delegate, and instead of the main tab bar controller, let's just go to the login controller. That way we make sure that everything is working as it should, right? And we come here and we say we want the login controller, and we load this, and if we load this, we see if the Apple button is working, we did it to Google, right? So sign in with Apple, we get Apple, right? It works, right? So our approach is working, and let's do the same for Google, right? Okay, so where is Google? So we can get rid of this code. We don't need it, right? We come to the Google button, and what we need to do here, let's just comment it out. Give it the same name so that you don't need to write, make changes anywhere else. This is just going to be lazy var. This is going to be Google button, like so. Google button is going to be make Google button. The selector in question is going to be hashtag selector, like so. Handle Google sign in, right? So we have that, and that's going to be that. Okay, we come here, we comment this out, like so. That's going to be done, and we come here, do this, right? Now we have the make Apple button, make Google button, and that's done. And let's just confirm. It's always good to confirm. We might be writing code and not testing it, and it might have an error somewhere, right? So we have this. We don't have a control. That's why you're not seeing the login. Don't worry about that. That's okay. The Google sign in, Google, Apple. So that is sorted. And now in our controller in question, we're actually going to have access to that particular button, right? We can now call the button in the reauthenticate view, so we can do that going forward. Continue. Right now, the next thing we need to do is we need to create this particular delete button, right? So let's create it. Come here and come here, Command N, create this. This is going to be called the delete button. I'm sure I've done this a billion times by now. That's that. Class. What's the name of the class? It's going to be called delete button. It's going to be UI table view cell, like so. Come here, say let button, and the button is going to be of type UI button, like so. Come here, do this and do that, right? Say var configuration is going to be UI button dot. That is done. Then we say configuration dot title is going to be delete account. Then we come here and we say configuration dot image. And what's the image going to be? It's going to be UI image system name. It's going to be trash, spell it correctly, trash dot circle, like so. Then after that, we're going to say configuration dot base background color, and that's going to be dot red. We do that, then we say configuration dot okay, come here, let button, and the button is going to be UI button, like so. And come here and we say configuration. What's the configuration? Is going to be the configuration, like so. Then we just return the button. So we say return. That is done, right? We need the initializer. Okay, we need to get rid of this. Get here, get the init, say init, okay. Initialize That's going to be that super dot init style reuse identifier is going to be reuse identifier. That is done. We need the required initializer, hit that, fix, it's sorted, right? Content view, come here, say content view dot add sub view. That's going to be the button, right? Put the button in place, say button anchor top is going to be top anchor, like so. Leading is going to be leading anchor, like so. Bottom is going to be bottom anchor, like so. Trailing is going to be trailing anchor, like so. Padding top 8, padding leading 8, padding bottom 8, padding trailing 8, right? So we have padding all around, and that's going to be that. Now our delete button is as it should be. The next thing to do would be to make sure that it's actually where it's supposed to be, right? So where indeed is it supposed to be, right? So we need to get it on we need to put this on the actual page. It's going to be one of the cells, right? So we would need to increase the particular cell, and after we increase we set the particular cell, we show the user the alert and whatnot, right? So let's do that now. Come here, increase the number of, first things first, right? Increase the number of cells. Let's come here and say we now want 9 cells, right? Come here, and this one is going to be called, let's just check here, it's going to be called delete account, right? So we come here and we say case 8, do that. That's going to be header label, that is going to be delete account. Now we are sorted. Okay, now we come here, and now after saving we need to come here and we say case 8, right? What are we going to do in case 8? We're going to say style is going to be, reuse identifier is going to be, that is done. Cell dot button dot add target, call it self, call it hashtag selector. This one is going to be called handle delete. It doesn't exist yet. This is going to be for touch up inside. It's a button, and what we need to do is going to be return cell, right? Okay, so what we need next is going to be here, and we come here and we say at Objective-C func. This one is going to be called something like we already give it a name, right? So it's going to be called handle delete, like so. Come here, do that, and this is going to be alert with options. The title, we already went through that. That's going to be delete account. The message is going to be deleting your account will delete all the associated data in our servers, like so. You will not be able to log in and use the app. Next option is going to be called delete, like so. Next option, handler, and remember we have an option that we could hit enter, like so, and this is going to be underscore in. And what we need, there's one option that we have set. Remember, if we go to our alert with options, we have this option where we have set destructive to false, right? We want it to be red so that the user can know that they are not supposed to do this, right? So how we do that, we come here and we say destructive is going to be true, right? So that's going to be that. And for now, we're just going to print ABC. So we come here and we print ABC when we run things, right? So if we run this, let's just run it and see our button. and this is going to be, oh, okay, let's run things and see where we are. Make sure everything is as it should be. Okay, yeah. We probably should sort that out, right? Come here, and instead of the login, main tab bar. Okay, let's see that. Let's see it in action. Come here, and oh my goodness, look at that hideous button. Look at how shrunk it is. Right? So what we should do is probably give it more space, give it a bit more space, make it larger. Let's go to our profile controller, and what we want to do is, instead of 40, I'm sure there's a place where we do 40, right? The height for row art, right? We come here and we say else if the index path dot section, if this is going to be the same as, if this is 8, return 60, right? Now our button is going to be Gathia. Okay, come here, right? So if we hit this, we are supposed to get deleting your account. Delete account. Deleting your account will delete all associated data in our servers. You will not be able to log in and use the app, right? I don't like the fact that we don't have a full stop here. So put a full stop, reload that, and after that, when you hit delete, you print ABC, right? So we don't want to print ABC. What we want to do is we would like to show the user a pop-up, right? We want to show the user a pop-up, right? So let's create that and then we'll show them, right? Come here, and what we want to do is going to be Command N. This is going to be a new Swift file, and this Swift file is going to be called re-authenticate module, re-authenticate view controller, right? View controller. Okay, so what we want is to come here, and this is going to be UIKIT. Remember, if you import UIKIT, you get foundation, so don't worry about that. And what we want is going to be class. This is going to be re-authenticate view controller UI. We have done this before, right? UI view controller, right? Come here. A lot of the things are going to be exactly the same, so I'm not going to explain. I'm just going to copy the code. We have already explained this and we've used it more than once, right? So what I need is the password text field, right? Come here, copy this from the login controller, come to the authenticate controller, come here, paste the password text field, go back for the, remember the text field is contained in a container view, get the password container view, right? We've done this several times. So that's why we created and made it reusable so that you can use it here, right? So that's going to be done. And then afterwards, we need the various buttons, the Google button, the Apple button, and the login button, right? So we can get all those from the login controller because it's pretty much does the same, right? So the login controller is going to be that, right? So let's get the login button, copy the login button, come here, paste the login button, right? We need the Apple and Google, so register controller. Let's get the Apple and Google that we just created, right? Where do we create them? No, we created them on the, is it the login or the, I'm sure it's somewhere. No, it's the login controller. It must be the login controller. Can't be anywhere else, right? Here they are, right? So we need to copy this too. We need both of them. Copy like so. Come to the authenticate. Come here. Call the view did load. View did load. Call the super like so. Come back here. What do we need? We need these two functionalities, right? We don't need to write them. We can actually get them. And where do we get them? We get them here, right? For now, they're just going to print the same thing, right? Come here, authenticate view controller, paste that. That's going to be that, right? You could make this available on any view if you want. I'm not going to do that, but I've already shown you how to do that in several places. you could just do the same. So that is going to be that. And what's the next thing we need? We need to go back to the login controller. We could make it the same shade as the other controllers, and you notice this ones have this too: configure gradient and configure UI. So we need to make it the same shade. So we come to where we have the view did load, come here, paste that. One of those does not exist. Come here, say func configure UI, like so. Probably come back to login controller. There's no need of writing all this, right? So we're going to create this button stack, right? And then do this, right? So let's get this 2 lines, right? The Apple button and the Google button. Just copy the code, come to re-authenticate, put it here, right? That's going to work. And then we want to come here and we say view dot add subviews, and that's just going to be the what's it going to be? It's going to be the button stack, right? Button stack, right? And the next thing we need to do would be let's add a title label, right? One thing we didn't do. And also handle sign in. Let's get handle sign in first, right? So we come here and we say, where is handle sign in? Okay, copy this, come here, paste that, right? We don't have that. If let's go back here, login controller, what did the form valid check? Copy this. We're checking the password text field text. Okay, fine. Let's just come here and say if password text field dot text dot is empty. It's empty. If not, right? If not, right? If this is not it, if not password text field dot text is empty, how do we negate that? If not, okay, we need to get, let's get the password text field. Let's go to the login controller. Come here, copy this. And we say return, just return, don't return false. Come here and we say if password text dot is empty, right? Negate it. If not password text is empty, we are going to do something. Oh, we're going to print valid, else we're going to shake the login button, right? Let's come back here. And what was the error alert? Fine, where's the error alert? Let's just copy the code, come back to the authenticate, and it's going to be here, function, right? Okay, that is going to be that. And the next thing we need to do is we would need the particular title, a label, right? So we say let title label, and what's the title label going to be? The title label is going to be UI label. The text is going to be authenticate with your sign in, spell it correctly. Authenticate with your sign in method, like so. Put a full stop there. Font, what's the font going? Okay, not folding. Put a comma. What's the font going to be? This is going to be dot system font of size and weight, and this is going to be something like 18, and this is going to be dot bold. So we do that. That's going to be bold. What's going to be the next thing that we're going to do? We need the next thing that we're going to do is what's it? Let's see. We need to put all of them. We need the button stack here. Then we need the title label and title label. What do we call it? We call it the title label, right? Okay, add subviews, right? The one that we created. So come here and say view dot add subviews, right? This is going to be title label, and then we have button stack, and we also need the login button, right? The login button, right? And we also need the, let's get the divider while we're at it, right? Let's go the whole hog and get the divider, right? So that you can maintain the consistency. And now what I'd like you to do is we want to make the divider available for both the login controller and the authenticate controller. I'm going to give you a chance to actually do it. You can do that next. Continue. Now what we want to do is we want to create a divider for right? And it's going to be reusable across the app, right? So for that, we probably need to go to our extensions, and here we just create something like func create divider. Then we go to login controller where the divider is, and what we'd like to do is we'd like to get this UI view. Let's get everything here, right? Copy it first, come back to extensions and paste it, and this is going to be it's going to be return divider, right? This is supposed to return a UI view, right? So now it has all the views, and we can go back to the login controller and first we try it out. Let's come here and comment this out, right? Comment this out, and then afterwards say lazy var divider is going to be create divider, right? If we have done that correctly, if we come back here to the scene delegate and we make the login controller the entry point, login controller, it should look the same. Of course, we're not wrapping it in a UI navigation controller, so there might be a few changes, but we should see the divider. So the divider is exactly where it is meant to be, rather, right? So that is going to be that. So the next thing to do is get rid of this code, because we know that it works. Come here, copy this line, copy, go back to the authenticate, like so. Let's see, where do we need it? We need it among our this, yes. After this, okay, do that, and do that. And what's the next thing we need to do? The next thing to do is we need to put everything in place. So let's go back to our view, put a divider here. So now we have that, and we need the password container view, right? Password container view, right? So we have the title label, the button stack, the login button, and the divider, right? And the next thing to do is put things on the screen. We say title label dot anchor, and this is going to be top, is going to be view dot top anchor. And the reason we're doing this top anchor is because this is going to be presented as a half sheet, right? So we say padding top. You're going to see exactly what that means. We're not concerned about the safe area. That's why we're doing this, right? So we do that, and then we say title label dot center x in view. What's the view? The view, right? And then we say password container view, anchor. Top is going to be title label dot bottom anchor, like so. Leading is going to be view dot leading anchor, like so. Trailing is going to be view dot trailing anchor, like so. Padding top is going to be 16. leading is going to be 32. That is going to be that, right? Then we come here and we say login button anchor. Come here, say top. This is going to be login button top is going to be password container view, like so. Dot bottom anchor, and then leading is going to be view dot leading anchor, like so. Trailing is going to be view dot trailing anchor, like so. Padding top is going to be 24. Padding leading is going to be 32. Padding trailing same, right? So that's going to be that. Then we come in and we say divider dot anchor, like so. That's going to be top is going to be login button dot bottom anchor, like so. Leading is going to be view dot leading anchor. Trailing is going to be view dot trailing anchor, like so. Padding top 32. Padding leading 32. Padding trailing 32, right? That's going to be that. And then we need the button stack, right? Button stack, like so. Dot anchor. What's the anchor? It's going to be top is going to be the divider dot bottom anchor. Leading anchor. Trailing anchor. Padding top 32. Padding leading 32. Padding trailing 32, right? Okay, so that is going to be essentially everything we need. And now all we need to do is just call it somewhere and show it, right? So let us actually do that, right? And what we want to do is we want to go back to our profile controller. And you could argue, is the authenticate controller a view on itself, or does it belong in views? Wherever it is or wherever you want to put it, you could either put it in views or in the controllers. Just to make sure that it works the way it's supposed to work, right? So what we could do is we could create a function up here. Let's come up here and create a function. And this function is going to be called something like present reauthentication. And what we want to do is we want it called whenever a user presses our delete button, right? Where's the delete button? Here. We just want to come here and we say present reauthentication controller. So let's see it in action, right? So we come here and we say let VC is going to be reauthenticate controller, like so. And then we say vc.modal presentation style. What's the modal presentation style? Is going to be dot page sheet, like so. Then we say present VC animated is going to be true, right? So we still have one error. Where is this error coming from? We need to capture the self. Okay, fine. Let's come here and say self, right? So let's run this. Okay, make sure everything is as it should be. And then we still need to make a few changes. Okay, we forgot to come back to our scene delegate, and this should be the main tab bar. Okay, we now have the main tab bar controller, and now we can actually run things. Let's run things and make sure that they are as we expect them to be. Come here and hit this and hit delete, and wow, there we get our buttons. Let's try out our buttons. We want the login. Wrong credentials, you don't have a password, right? So you need to enter a password. and come here to say 123, like so. Okay, the password should at least be 6. We're going to do that, right? We're going to do that, right? Hit sign in with Apple, sign in with Google, Apple. So everything is looking as it should, right? Now the next thing is to make sure that this is a half sheet. This is not a full sheet. This is actually being presented modally. We want this to be a half sheet. Put a nice little grabber there and make sure that the password is at least 6 characters, because you know Firebase passwords have to be at least 6 characters. So if a user enters less than 6 characters, you know there's something wrong with that and we need to fix that. So that's what you're going to do. Okay, let's continue. So what we need is in the reauthenticate controller. Okay, count. We check that the password text.count is not less than 6, right? So if password text dot count exceed. So what we want to do here is first check that the password is within the limits that are acceptable. So we come in and we say if password text dot count is, that is in the reauthenticate controller, right? If password text dot count is greater than 6, right? Is greater than 5, right? Because it has to be at least 5 characters, at least 6 characters. So it has to be greater than 5 in this case, right? So that's the case. Let's try it out, make sure that that works. And then after that, we're going to make this a half modal, right? So for now, we come here, hit delete, get this. And if it's 3, 4, 5, and we try hitting this, it shakes and we get wrong credentials, right? If we put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we hit this, it's valid, right? So that works. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that this is actually going to be presented as a half sheet, right? Okay, how do we do that? Well, the easy way is, it's not here, it's going to be in the profile controller, right? So in the profile controller, just say this. If let sheet is going to be vc.sheet presentation controller, and this is going to be sheet.detent, and what this is going to be an array, and here we're going to say dot medium, like so, and this is going to be dot large, like so, and sheet dot prefers grabber visible, right? This is going to be true, and the grabber is going to be a short line that appears at the top there, right? And we give it a corner radius by coming here and saying sheet dot preferred corner radius, and this is going to be 24, like so, and then we present it, right? So if we do this, I think we're going to have everything we need, right? Yes, and you see the grabber is the line that is in the middle here, and we can extend it and we can reduce it, and yeah, basically that. And now we have everything, okay, more or less everything that we need in this particular section, right? So this is one of the longer sections that you're going to have, but we've done a lot of the UI stuff, put it on the screen, make sure that it's good to look at. The next thing would be to figure out how we can, I think we need to move on to the next sections and create them, and then eventually we'll come back. We'll just come back here, right? We'll come back here and hook everything up to the back end, right? So this part is more or less done.